This winter is about to make a big return as two winter storms and a large Arctic blast are expected over the next 7 days, which will bring widespread heavy snow for dozens of states, taking us from the spring of deception to our third winter. This winter shift will begin today as a major storm is slamming the West Coast right now, bringing a rare severe weather threat across the West and feet of snow in the Sierras and the Rockies. But this storm won't stop there, because on Tuesday, it will move into the Great Plains, leading to our first significant winter storm of the week. Widespread heavy snow and ice accumulation is possible from the Midwest into the Northeast. If that storm wasn't enough, another storm will follow close behind it, but with a bigger twist. This winter storm will also slam the West Coast, but it will take a more southern track, meaning we could see accumulating snow across more parts of the country. However, a tiny shift in the track could be the make or break between widespread heavy snow or a more compact snow event. So, in today's forecast, I'm going to break down exactly what you need to know about these two winter storms and a very strong cold front that'll impact the United States. Now, we have a lot to talk about in today's forecast, and I want to jump right into this major weather pattern change that is about to happen as it is going to completely reshape our winter pattern basically for the rest of February. So, let's talk more about it. And this is what our jet stream looks like currently. We have a very large dip in our jet stream back along the West Coast, and this is where a significant atmospheric river event is currently happening. This is dumping a lot of rain and a lot of snow across the western tier of the country. We still have a ridge back down towards the Gulf Coast, but that's not going to be there for much longer because by the time we go into Wednesday and Thursday, notice how our jet stream just has this massive swing, a big dip that is going to stretch all the way from California back into Michigan and also into Ohio. And this is going to lead to two different significant storms this week, maybe even three. So, we are going to have a threat for severe weather and heavy snowfall for tens of millions of people by the middle of this week. And then, eventually, as we get closer to the weekend, we could see yet again another significant storm try to make its way over the Rockies and then eventually go into the Ohio Valley and the East Coast. So, again, there could be as many as 3 different large storm systems over the next 7 days. We're not talking about those garden variety isolated shower and thunderstorm events. We're talking about widespread impact storms that'll be impacting a lot of people over the next 7 days. And in just a moment, we'll talk more about these upcoming storm systems. But I do want to point out that yes, it is very warm across the United States. But that's not going to last forever because winter is making a big return. So this week, we are expecting well above average temperatures all across the Great Plains, Midwest, Ohio Valley, back towards the East Coast, along the West Coast, and around the Rockies. That is where below average temperatures currently reside. Obviously, you can see up here at the top left of your screen, that is a large blob of Arctic air. And at some point later this week, it will unleash into the United States. It's going to come in waves. So, on Wednesday and Thursday, there will be a very small wave that'll make its way across the northern plains. Again, very limited impacts here, but temperatures will drop by about 20 to 30 degrees back over in the northern plains. And then by about Friday and Saturday, there will be a little bit of cold air making its way into the Midwest. But really, the big deal is going to be this weekend into early next week. That is when we're going to be dealing with a much larger and more significant shot of cold air. This will be borderline Arctic blast. More than anything, a very strong cold front will be on the backside of a low pressure system. And this should lead to temperatures dropping by as much as 30 to 40 degrees on Sunday and Monday. So we are going to go right back to winter conditions across most of the Ohio Valley and the East Coast by the end of next weekend and eventually into early next week. And temperatures will drop by a lot. Even the Northeast could be dealing with some very significant Arctic air. And then beyond this, we don't really know what's going to happen. Things get a lot more uncertain. Anything could happen basically by the end of February. But at least for right now, this is good news for snow lovers. Because if we get any sort of moisture to go a little bit further down to the south, sometime around the beginning of next week, which is possible. Wouldn't say it's 100% going to happen, but it is possible. We may end up seeing some more southern snowfall, For those that love snow, it's not off the table, at least here in February. And the temperatures over the next 7 days are going to be on a wild roller coaster. We are talking about record-breaking warmth tomorrow across parts of the northern plains. This is just unbelievable. We have 70s in the middle of February across parts of Nebraska and South Dakota. We are into the mid to upper 80s and even approaching 90 in Texas tomorrow afternoon, 50s all across the Ohio Valley. And around the same time last month, it was nowhere near this warm. And then eventually, as we go into Wednesday afternoon, we are expecting 60s and even 70s across Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. Again, just crazy stuff. Detroit could be 60 degrees, northern Michigan might only be in the 20s for high temperatures on Wednesday. Just an unbelievable contrast. Thursday will be very warm as well. And I do have some concern that we could see severe weather unleash on Thursday in parts of the Ohio Valley, where damaging winds and even tornadoes could be on the table, which is not something that is very common for February. So we could have some rare severe weather on our hands with how warm it is going to be. And Friday and Saturday back over in South Texas, we could have some areas approaching 100 degrees. Eventually, by next week is when things start to plummet again. By Monday morning, we could be talking about a widespread freeze going all the way down towards southern Alabama and Georgia. Teens single digits across the Midwest, some areas below 0 degrees. The most significant Arctic air will still be back over in Canada. GFS model in particular does not have that Arctic air really going anywhere anytime soon. We should have at least one more Arctic blast sometime at the end of February or in early March. Now, let's talk more about these winter storms that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 days. And beginning with today, we already have a lot of rain and snow that is actively falling along the West Coast. Very powerful atmospheric river event where a lot of moisture is coming out of the Pacific. It's basically hammering the West Coast. Several inches of rain is expected today and tomorrow in areas like San Diego, Los Angeles, all the way up into San Francisco. Very significant mountain snow, too. Even the Sierra Nevada is going to be picking up upwards of 80 to 100 inches of snow over the next 5 to 7 days. Now, once we go into Tuesday, this area of moisture will eventually surge over the Rockies, and that's going to develop a very large low-pressure system, also a strong storm system. Now, this isn't going to impact everybody. This is going to be a very thin and narrow storm system when it comes to who's going to see snow and rain. However, notice the isobars here. They're very tight, and that means that it's going to be very windy on Tuesday. I have some big concerns for fire conditions Tuesday and Wednesday because of how windy it's going to be and how dry it's going to be, especially across parts of the high plains, Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. So please make sure if you're anywhere in these areas, you're very vigilant about the ongoing fire risk Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning, this storm system will rapidly intensify across the northern plains and the Midwest. Heavy snow is expected across Saskatchewan, areas like northern Minnesota, Wisconsin, back into North Dakota, dealing with possibly even blizzard conditions in some areas during the overnight hours Tuesday into early Wednesday. It will be so warm across areas like Chicago that we're going to be dealing with showers and maybe even some isolated thunderstorms during the daytime on Wednesday. And then, once Thursday rolls around, this large storm system is going to get so stretched out, it's going to become very disorganized. Our area of low pressure is going to become a lot weaker. And then eventually behind this, we are going to have yet again another storm system. I think this one's going to be a lot more impactful than the one that we're dealing with Tuesday and Wednesday. And it's more because of the fact it's going directly over the central part of the Rocky Mountains. Colder air is going to come a little bit further south. And warmer and moist air is going to be coming further north because this low-pressure system is almost taking the perfect track here for February to see a mix of winter storm activity and as well as severe weather. So during the early portion of Thursday, this low-pressure center will move over the Rockies. There will be some snowfall across parts of Nebraska and South Dakota. I do want to point out, most of western Nebraska has only seen about an inch of snow this winter, so this would be big news for these areas. Back over to the south and east, there'll be some moisture coming out of the Gulf, so we're at least expecting some showers during the morning on Thursday. Once we go into Thursday afternoon, is when things could get a lot more interesting. And this is because we will have a very strong moisture pull coming out of the Gulf and then very strong southwesterly flow. And this should allow for a severe weather setup on Thursday across the Ohio Valley. The significance of this severe weather setup, though, is very up in the air because it's going to depend on this storm system and how it evolves as it moves over the Rockies. The exact track of it. All that sort of stuff matters a lot right now. We don't exactly know what's going to happen, so things are still up in the air about severe weather. However, the European model here is showing a pretty significant severe weather setup Thursday afternoon and evening, with damaging winds and tornadoes possible in areas like Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. I know I'm saying these states and it might sound crazy for the middle of February, but that's literally what it looks like right now for Thursday. It's going to be very warm and the dew points are going to be pretty high that far to the north. Back over in Kentucky and Tennessee, that'll be probably the main corridor will be in Kentucky and Tennessee during the daytime on Thursday. Could even continue into the evening hours. And then late Thursday into early Friday, this storm system will be producing the possibility of some pretty heavy snowfall in parts of Iowa, Minnesota, and Nebraska. With how windy it's going to be on the backside of this low-pressure system, we could end up having some blowing snow. I don't think we're going to have blizzard conditions because there's really not a whole lot of snow on the ground right now, and this is not going to dump, I don't think, enough snow for blizzard conditions in Wisconsin, Iowa, or Minnesota. But heavy snow is possible late Thursday into early Friday. And then predictability beyond Friday is very high. The European model on Saturday shows almost nothing in the United States, but look at the GFS model. This is another pretty accurate model in a lot of cases. It shows a pretty significant storm system across the southeast, even with possible snow in areas like Arkansas, Ohio, and back into Kentucky. So again, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. A lot of things could happen between now and then. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. We'll be the first to let you know with any big updates that happen with any of these storm systems over the next several days. Now, in terms of where the best chance of snow will reside over the next 7 days, it'll definitely be back over on the west coast. But we do have increasing chances of at least a pretty significant winter storm as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday across the far northern plains and the upper Midwest. Expecting a widespread 4 to 8 inches of snow, some areas will easily pick up over a foot of snow as well. And then by the weekend into early next week, this is where things get a lot more uncertain. Right now, the National Weather Service blend of models, which blends a lot of models together, shows our best chance of snowfall still being across the northern plains and the Midwest, and highlighting another area across the Northeast, with possibly some significant snowfall across parts of New England. If we take a little bit of a closer view of some of these areas back along the West Coast over the next 7 days, we are expecting at least 50 to 100 inches of snow across the Sierra Nevada. Parts of the Cascades and the Rockies could easily pick up feet of snowfall. And then in terms of rainfall along the West Coast, we are anticipating a very significant rain event today into early tomorrow, with a widespread 1 to 3 inches of rain from San Diego back up into San Francisco. So mudslides are going to be a big concern here over the next few days. Rain should continue to penetrate the entire West Coast, even through the weekend. Most areas will pick up at least 2 to 4 inches of rain when this is all said and done. The Northeast is a little bit of a wild card right now. We are expecting a few inches of snow later this week, and then this weekend into early next week is where things could get a lot more interesting with possibly some significant snowfall, but this remains uncertain for right now. And just a heads up, there is a very low-end chance of a brief tornado sometime today along the west coast of California, mainly near Los Angeles. So make sure that you're staying weather aware. And as always, thank you all so much for watching today's forecast on Michael Carter Weather. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We'll be working closely to keep you updated on all these developing winter storms. And thank you again all so much for watching. And we will see you in the next video. Goodbye.